Because the big thing is that these new buyers that are coming in, wherever all the different states that they're coming in from, they don't know, and not all the realtors know the difference between Harmony Main, Harmony Central, Harmony West.
Right.
So why would I buy your resale house if I could buy a brand new house? But they don't know the difference in the communities, and and that's another thing that's hard to get across.
Welcome to another episode of Discover St. Cloud, Florida. I'm Kristin Macari, and I'm here with your host,
Jeanine Corcoran, broker for Corcoran Connect, a real estate company.
It is 2025.
It's crazy.
What? Like, I feel like this was like the future. You know what I mean? Like when you were a kid and you were growing up and I was like, 2025 is so far away. We're going to have flying cars and like all this kind of stuff. And it's crazy. We're not quite living the Jetsons lifestyle. Maybe. Anyway, it is time for our 2024 year-end report.
That's right.
2024, how'd you feel about that in total? Like the year, like the real estate market?
It just, to look back, it's so strange. It's so very strange.
Right.
You know, I'm just looking at the numbers like you were comparing year to year, and I'm excited to have everyone hear about it.
Right. And it's crazy because how I felt about the year was not reflected in the data. Mm-hmm. Like I was kind of surprised when I was like pulling it. I'm like, is this right? Did I do that right? Mm-hmm. Is it, the year's right? So anyway, so we're excited to tell you about it.
A lot of people that still have the house on the market for a long time.
Right.
They're probably like, there's no way that's the average days
on
market or, know, so it should be interesting numbers, and just folks know that it's always on our website. You can go get this data anytime you want. Yep.
All right. So why don't you kick us off with 34769 for the year of 2024?
So 34769, we had a total of 300. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, folks. I should have turned up my my light a little. There we go. Now I can see. So we had 312 properties that sold. Of that, 258 were single stories at 245.40 price per square foot, and 2 stories at 54. That surprised me. 54 2-story homes in 34769, because that's downtown the state streets.
Right.
And they came out 183.02 price per square foot.
That's crazy. So in comparison, so I thought it felt like this year was slower just overall, right? Mm-hmm. So I thought that there was going to be a big difference in the number of homes sold in 2023 versus 2024. Mm-hmm. But there were 310 sales in 2023 and 312 in 2024. So it's basically the same. Your year over year price per square foot for your averages was actually up 0.62%. So a little over 0.5% gains. So for the most part, 34769 stayed, the same as it was. The numbers though that I think changed the most are going to be the days to contract, how many days it took to get under contract, and then how many days it took to get closed. So in 2023, we were looking at 21 days to get under contract and 57 days to close. And in 2024, we're at 36 days to get under contract and 69 days to close.
So not that much of a difference.
Not that much different. This is probably the smallest. And I think, we talked about it all the time. It's that price point, right? It's that special, it's that really sweet price point for people. I think it's easier to sell. I did also look at the number of new construction homes. And now, again, 34769 doesn't really have a ton, mm-hmm. but out of the sales in 2024, 4% of them, so 14 houses, were new construction. Mm-hmm. And then in 2023, 7% or 23 sales were new construction. So that's actually surprising to me. I didn't think there was that many new builds in 769. So anyway, but yeah, so 769 looking great, and hopefully poised for a good 2025.
Yeah. So now we have 34771, busy zip code, of course. We had 927 homes that sold. Of them, 514 were single stories at 248.54 price per square foot. And the 2 stories, we have 413 at 204.56.
That's crazy. So out of your 900, you had 927 sales in 2024. Mm-hmm. This one actually was down a little bit. There were 1,057 sales in 2023. So a little bit slower there. Your average price per square foot year over year up 1%. So again,
so they had a gain.
They had a gain overall over the year. Pretty similar though, I feel like. Days to contract were 43 days to contract and then 79 days to close in 2023. And now it's up to 56 days to contract and 97 days to close. And that's for your resale homes.
Right.
In 34772.
And remind everyone why you don't use the new sales.
So a lot of new sales, when they get entered into the MLS, the way that the system works is somehow it doesn't, even if you give it a list date or whatever, it doesn't really backdate it, right? So it would say like negative days on the market. So we don't want that data to skew our numbers. So we go ahead and exclude the outliers there. And we use the, and obviously this is the number that really matters to the people that are listening, right? They have houses to sell. They're not new builders. So it really doesn't, makes more of a difference for you to have the number of days on the market so that you're aware when you're planning, if you're going to plan to put your house on the market, that you're planning enough time. And then if you're looking at percent of new construction, in 2023, there were, let me see if I made, in 2023, 65% of sales were new construction. And in 2024, 62% of sales were new construction.
Wow.
So that's a big, part of those numbers is going to be new construction, obviously. Right.
So folks, know that you're competing with new construction. The resales definitely competing, like that's huge. 70-something% of that zip code.
Yeah. That's
what you're competing with.
Right. A lot of new construction to compete with. And so it's, it definitely skews some of your numbers, your days to contract, days to close, going to be a little bit longer. So anyway, interesting data there.
So then we go on to 34772, where we had 646 homes that sold. Of that, 426 were single stories at 229.86 price per square foot. And then the two stories, we had 220 at 194.38 price per square foot.
So your average overall, again, was up 0.38%. So very marginal. I think everything pretty much was like a status quo for the most part. Your days to contract in 2023 was 32. It took 32 days to get under contract, 65 days to close. And in 2024, you're looking at 44 days to contract and 81 days to close. So it's a slower process across the board. We did see some changes there. I just want to double check that I made these numbers right. In 2024, there were 44% were new construction homes. And in 2023, there were 46% new construction homes.
Oh, so that's not
very similar. Yeah. Close to half your houses that were sold in 34772 were resale or were new construction. So
makes sense. So then we go on to 34773, the Sleepy zip code. We had 270 homes that sold. Of that, single stories are 189 at 237.35 price per square foot. The two stories, we had 85 at 183.23. I'd be curious about the new construction in this area.
So this one's going to be a big surprise. So now your averages year over year in 34773 actually had the biggest gains. You're looking at a year over year average of 8.25%, increases. I think that's heavily weighted by the new construction though. Sure. I'd be curious to pull that number out and look at only resale homes to see if there's a difference. For your resale homes though, your days to contract, in 2023 was 34 days to contract and 74 days to close. In 2024, it took about 55 days to get under contract and 90 days to close. So it definitely slowed down there. Now to your point, your 2024 numbers. So 76% of sales in 2024 were new construction. That's a big
huge
portion
Folks,
of the numbers.
For those of you who have your house on the market, now you know what you're competing with. New construction.
Right.
That's what's selling.
Out of the 274 sales that we had, 208 of them were new construction.
Wow.
That's a big number. So
for those of you who had a resale to sell, congratulations.
Right. Right. You did it. You got it off the market. And then we're going to actually dive into 34773, your bigger community of Harmony, the main Harmony, right? You're going to tell us about that.
So on the Harmony year-end market report, we separated condos. So we had Ashley Park condos that we only have 5 that sold all year, and they came in at 165.08 price per square foot. Those actually came down in price. Last year, the 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, the 1668, the one without the balcony, that was averaging about 285, 290. The last 2 that sold, one was sold at 250, one sold at 260.
Wow.
So that's a drop.
Yeah, that is a drop. And your days to contract and days to close on those condos is about 41 days to get under contract and 65 days to close based on those 5 sales that happened. So a little bit of time there.
And then I'll talk about the Harmony Isle, the new townhouses that sold. We had 15 that sold. The price per square foot came out 189.36. And now in Ashley Park, which is the townhouses that are the resale, I didn't pull up the new list. What do you have for price per square foot? What did it come out to on the new list?
Oh, it came out to 162.81.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
I pulled up the old list. Well, okay, so that's a big difference. And then we move on to the resale.
And that one, just so you know, on your townhouses, you're looking at 74 days to get under contract and 112 days to close for your townhouses. So that was even different, like a significant difference over, you're looking at an extra month to get under contract compared to the condos, and then an extra 2 months to get closed compared to the condos. So even in that little bit of Ashley Park, like there's a big difference.
Big difference. So then on the resales, I had 29. See to me, only 29 resale properties sold, but that goes back to your new construction, right?
Right.
So we only had 29. This is, again, Harmony, Maine. 29 that sold of the single stories. There were 14 at 205.38, 2 stories 15, 175.94.
And it took about 60 days to get under contract and 100 days to close on these properties on average. And I'm really curious because I know there were several homes that hit the market summer, late summer, fall, even early winter that hit the market, and they're still there. So I think that's going to definitely skew some numbers for, or impact the numbers, not skew them really, but impact them for 2025.
Yeah, definitely.
So 60
Can you
days.
do the Enclave? Because I didn't pull up the new.
Sure.
I only have 2.
So there were 2 sales in the Enclave. One was a short sale and one was a traditional sale. The average price per square foot, they were both 1-story homes, $207.74. It took them about 135 days to go under contract and then 226 days to close, which is actually surprising to me because the houses that sold for, it felt like less on average price per square foot, right? As the other, but they're like basically brand new houses.
Right.
The only difference I guess I would say would be that in the Enclave, you do have to become a part of the golf membership. So your dues are a little bit higher, but like our CDD bond is paid off. So like it should cancel out, you know, you would think in terms of payments, but yeah, I don't know. But there's also the charm of living in the main Harmony. And I'll be honest, like when you live back here in the Enclave, like it's different. It's a beautiful community. I love it. Super quiet, great neighborhood. But it is different from, the main part of Harmony. Yeah.
Well, let's not forget the people at the lakes.
Yes.
So we have South Lake, we have East Lake, and we have North Lake. And so we had 19 sales. They were all single stories with an average of 214.31 price per square foot.
And for your resales out there, it took on average 129 days to go under contract. So that's like 4
This
plus
is a 55
months.
and older.
Right. Which is, something that's definitely impacted by the economy and, like in terms of payments and stuff. And it took about 165 days to get them closed.
Wow.
So.
And it feels like it.
It feels like it. Yeah. So you're pretty much, 4 months to get under contract, maybe 6 to get closed.
Right.
So definitely take that into consideration if you're planning to list your home in the 55 and over community. And you have to compete with the new builds. They still have a whole new section that they're building, right? So that's definitely, and of a 55 and over community in the same little area. So you have the most, I feel like they have the most competition within Harmony itself.
And I should have removed that one house that sold in East Lake because that came out at $343.86 price per square foot. I left it in the data, but I bet you it would give me a different number than 214.
Right. So maybe we'll make an adjustment for that for the website.
Yeah, that's true.
Check the website for the real number, or maybe we'll put up the text right here and say this is how much
That's
it actually
huge.
was.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It skews it. It's an outlier.
Yep.
And then we go into the custom homes. So the custom homes, of course, are in the estates. We have some on Indian Grass, we have Schoolhouse, and then we have Catbrier. And we do also have someone on the pond side of Brackenfern. So that came out to, we had 11 that sold. Of that, 4 of them were single stories at 198.50, and then 2 stories, we had 7 at 204.49.
And so your days to contract were 114 days to contract and 156 days to close. So you're in the custom homes, especially because you're in that higher price point, you're looking at similar numbers to the 55 and over in terms of like, close to 4 months under contract to get under contract, and then almost, 5 to get closed.
Wow.
So interesting.
It's very interesting. Yeah, I'm just looking at that. Everything that's sold. Interesting.
Yeah. So we'll see what 2025 has to offer. Do you have any big, bold predictions? Or I feel like I'm not making any predictions this year. We're just going to ride the waves and see what happens.
It's so hard to tell. I mean, it's the interest rate that's making the difference.
Right. Yeah.
But folks, if you're selling your home and you are resale, please go ahead and offer some kind of incentive to the buyer. That will make a difference. Don't just keep lowering your house until you're giving away. Offer something. I have one offered $10,000 to compete with the builder. One offered $15,000. So,
Right.
That's what you have to do to make it happen.
And to that point, what are your thoughts on being stuck on a specific number to sell a house? Like, you know what I mean? Like, do you, at what point do you consider price reductions? Say you, and at the time you listed, it seemed like an appropriate price, right? For the market that you were in, but now you're, 3 months in, 4 months in, you're still not getting under contract. Like, what do you do? What's your strategy? What do you think you usually do? Well,
first, when you're sitting at a listing appointment with an agent, yes, the sold data is important, just like we're telling you now. But know that that's not the whole thing in a nutshell, because you have to look at your what you're competing against. So where in previous years you can go on a listing appointment and pretty much say, okay, this is what your similar house sold for. That's probably what you can expect. You can't even do that anymore.
No.
You have to say, okay, this is what things sold for, but let's forget about that for a minute. Let's go ahead and look at our competition.
Right.
Oh, wait, we have 200 houses for sale that you're competing with, and they're all new build, and they're giving 4.99, and they're paying the closing costs. That's your competition. That's where you have to figure out, where do I want to be? How much am I? So in that sense, when we did the data, month over month, it was like a 9% difference. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just different now. You just really have to look at what your competition is, and you have to be aggressive, and you have to offer closing costs or offer to buy down the rate. There's so many creative ways.
Right.
But if you really have to move,
right,
you have to
make it attractive to buyers to want to pull the trigger faster on your house.
Right. Because the big thing is that these new buyers that are coming in, wherever, all the different states that they're coming in from, they don't know, and not all the realtors know the difference between Harmony, Maine, Harmony Central, Harmony West.
Right.
So why would I buy your resale house if I could buy a brand new house? But they don't know the difference in the communities, and and that's another thing that's hard to get across.
Absolutely.
So.
It's interesting. So we'll see what 2025 has to offer.
Yes.
I'm not feeling like overly doom and gloom or pessimistic or anything. I'm tired of making predictions, and then it seems like everything data wise has been like status quo.
Yeah.
So like
flatline.
we're just flatline, which is fine. I would rather have a flat line than like a
downward
terrible.
turn.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what happened in 2024 in the St. Cloud area in the real estate market. So thank you so much for joining us for another monthly market report. Remember, you can find us on all your favorite podcast platforms. You can also check us out on
YouTube, social media, Instagram, LinkedIn, all the above.
Amazing. And if you have any comments or questions, you can send us an email at discoverstcloud@gmail.com or give us a call at
1-844 St. Cloud, that's STCLOUD, or 407-953-9118.
Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you in the next episode.